Welcome to the Contrarians, where we are right and you are wrong. I'm Julio.
And I'm Alex. Here on the show, we rage against the Rotten Tomatoes machine. For the first half of each episode, Contrarians Corner, we trash the fresh red tomatoes and praise the rotten green splotches, making our case any way we can.
The aptly titled Real Talk serves as the second half of each episode. This is where we discuss our true feelings on the movie we're covering. For more information on our podcast and to browse past episodes, you can head over to our website, wearethecontrarians.com.
From there, you can also access our Patreon and merchandise, because capitalism.
If you enjoy our attempts at comedic film discussions, we encourage you to subscribe and leave us a review on whatever podcatcher you use.
If you'd like to reach out to us directly, that's what social media is for. You can find us on most platforms as @ContrarianPrime.
You can also see what we look like if you go to youtube.com/@ContrarianPrime, and you can contact us by email at wearethecontrarians@gmail.com.
I think that covers it.
Then it's time for the podcast. And we are recording for Contrarians Corner for The Last Picture Show, our first Bogdanofilm.
And what a way to start. 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. Hello, and welcome to the Contrarians, where we're right and you're wrong. My name is Alex, joined as always by my cohort, Julio Oliveira. I would say in our never-ending quest of the contrary, but for the purposes of the summer and this journey you've made for us, a quest, a summer trip with Peter Bogdanovich. Who'd have thunk it?
He's going to be taking turns at the wheel. We got to be, one leg is Bogdanovich, the other leg is PJ Hogan. But
okay. When you laid it out, I thought we were doing all Pete Bog, and then we would be switching to PJ for the second half of the summer. So we're alternating. It
works out beautifully because PJ Hogan has 6 major movies, that were released. So we're going to cover all those 6, and then we're going to take 6 Bogdanofilms and put them on the main feed. And then we'll fill in some other Bogdanofilms on the Patreon feed. So it's going to be exciting, epic, unless, because a lot of these movies we haven't seen, turns out that they're terrible. Then it's going to be a chore, but hopefully not.
Just got to stay positive.
I mean, just going by our experience with Paper Moon, let's hope that it stays on that level.
And not much of a better way to kick off, at least with, you would think, way to remain positive than 98%, The Last Picture Show, one of the probably most celebrated movies of its type. A lot of people hold it in regard as one of the better movies of the past 100 years, and recently released on 4K Criterion, which is how I came to view it this evening. First time viewing for me. Julio, what about yourself?
First time as well. I do not have the Criterion. I just fell back on the tried and true Amazon Prime. I'm assuming that we watched the same cut. There's only one available cut of Last Picture Show, right?
Do you know how long yours was?
A little over 2 hours, 2:05, I think.
Yeah, that would be mine as well.
Okay. So we both saw Ready Quite Naked.
Yes. Hell of a bush on that guy. The original version was an hour and 59 minutes. I was reading about it while I was watching the movie of who released this? It was Columbia. They wouldn't let him go over 2 hours, and there was like 7 minutes of the movie cut out that he inserted back in. The Criterion remaster I was watching, you can actually tell the scenes that were spliced in after the fact. Anyway, that's what we're here today to discuss. 1971. Julio and I already know the evils of the small Texas town and how it's important to get out before you have to do something like enlist in the war and go off to Korea to fight. So this movie didn't teach us too much. But, and then 1971, I could see a lot of the country, there wasn't social media yet. There wasn't YouTube. So I could see a lot of people being like, man, besides Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston, Texas seems like a real shithole.
This was scarier than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well, that was all that Austin was known for in the 70s, was that, because I think they even say it's Travis County in there.
This is worse, because that's Leatherface. There's just only one dude with a chainsaw. Here, it's like a whole town.
And far more bleak than anything that happens in Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the kids in this town fantasize about going to Wichita Falls. So it's It's a dark timeline. But it was October 22nd of 1971. This was released. Directed by Peter Bogdanovich, screenplay by Larry McMurtry and Peter Bogdanovich, and based, of course, on Larry McMurtry's novel of the same name. It had a budget of $1.3 million and a box office return of close to $30 million. It was both a critical and financial success, racking up numerous nominations at the Academy Awards. We'll get to that in the second half. Julio, 98%. Then, now, forever, people are gaga about this movie. What quotes did you pull for us?
All right, Rotten Tomatoes. Obviously, it didn't exist in 1971, but this is one of those instances where you can tell that they just took the print reviews and they dutifully submitted them to the Tomatometer. So, yeah, these are quotes from... it's not Bogdanovich's debut because he had at least a couple movies before this one, but this was his big splash. And so Charles Champlin from the Los Angeles Times says, "The Last Picture Show is an exceptional and original work, not so much a movie as a film buff's film, an exercise in regret and a reminder of various losses." Not a movie, Alex. Instead, it's a film buff's film.
I don't know what the fuck that means.
So movie is for the masses. This is when the movie's in color, I guess. And
okay.
There's a story. And a film buff's film is when you just kind of like sit with your chin on your fist and I guess let it wash over you. Like, oh, nudity. Interesting.
You rest your chin in like your palm while your thumb strokes your chin and your index fingers like resting on your nose. That's how you watch those kind of movies.
You watch a movie like you're a Noah Baumbach. That's really...
like it's Celeste and Jesse Forever. You're watching it like, this is art. I understand it.
Next, Joe Boltake from the Philadelphia Daily News says, "At a time when everything about movies is frantic and vulgar, it's rather nice to savor a homey, quiet film like The Last Picture Show. One that's witty, wise, and even a little wistful."
Bruh, Alex, this is all about the horniness of being in high school.
Also, so back in 71, they thought that movies were frantic and vulgar. Can you imagine Joe Baltake watching the new Roadhouse? Fuck, even the 80s Roadhouse.
I hope they live to maintain their naivety.
Next, John Huddy from the Miami Herald says, "In The Last Picture Show, Peter Bogdanovich has captured America. Not just small-town America, but ritualistic America, decent America, cruel America, intelligent America, ignorant America."
Yeah, I don't know about that either. This movie exemplifies the dangers of a small town, especially a small southern town.
Yeah, I think it might be reaching to say that whatever this little Texas town is, that it somehow is a microcosm of what America is. Because fuck.
Yeah.
We criticize America as much as the next person, maybe even more on this show. But even I wouldn't go with such a bleak assessment. There's maybe one, I would say two sympathetic characters in this movie, and they both die. So,
yep.
We're going to close with Noel Taylor from the Ottawa Citizen, who says, "Black and white. We who were suckled on it and weaned away are suddenly offered it again, like a comforter, and it tastes good. It must be the honest flavor, the truth untarnished by seductive color tones."
What was that person's name?
Noel Taylor.
The Wizard of Oz must have been like whatever Avengers movie is to me. Like, you ruined it. You ruined it. Damn it. You ruined it.
I have never seen someone so horny for black and white. It tastes good, he says.
I don't know. Alexander Payne was clearly very aroused when making Nebraska, so.
That's true. But that was half the black and white and half Bruce Dern.
He is a bit of a hottie in that movie.
Yep. All right, Alex. Those were the quotes. The 98%. It's almost uniformly fresh tomatoes on that page. And then if you scroll enough, you'll find two rotten ones, which we'll get to in real talk. But right now, the table is set. So let's go to, what's the name of this town?
And we can send you away to a good school.
But I don't want to leave.
Some wealthy boy.
Why can't I just stay here and go to college in Wichita Falls?
Because everything is flat and empty here. And nothing to do.
Meandering is a ghost town in Archer County, Texas. I mean, it still stands, but it doesn't look like anything's going on there. There's no post office there. I looked up in the Texas Almanac, and yeah, there's nothing there.
So
Archer
he didn't
County,
make it up. He really took an actual town and said, for 2 hours, I'm just going to point out how hopeless and miserable life is here.
Yeah, and it is in proximity to Wichita Falls, which I can't remember if that's been documented on here the week I spent there training a call center. But I can tell you that if you're in that area, you should probably do what you can to get out. Dallas seems like Oz pretty much when you're there. But we are going to Anarene. We're going to visit Sonny Crawford and Dwayne Jackson. The year is 1951. Sonny Crawford and Dwayne Jackson are high school seniors and friends in a declining oil town in northern Texas. Dwayne is dating J.C. Farrow, the richest and prettiest girl in town. Sonny breaks up with his girlfriend, Charlene Duggs, as he is secretly in love with J.C. So, Sonny Crawford, this is Timothy Bottoms, and Dwayne Jackson, Jeff Bridges.
One of those guys grew up to be kind of a big deal.
It's important to call out that the movie begins with them being not even heckled, but like admonished, castigated by the townspeople for their football team failing the night before. So you do know that it's a Texas town for sure. The religion that is small town football. And you've only lived in College Station in Austin, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
College Station is a lot more like, between the two, College Station is a lot closer to what we see in this movie.
So you lived in the two college football hotbeds in Texas. I mean, you could say Tech, maybe Lubbock, but so you haven't lived in a small town to understand the majesty of Texas high school football. You understand how big of a fucking deal it is in Austin, and I assume College Station I've ever been, but I can confirm that the young men that played football in Hays County when I went to high school there, if they went to a gas station and, the townspeople were there, they'd say, oh, good game tonight, or, oh, you got to tighten up on the tackling, blah, 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 blah. So this is very realistic and a sad reminder of where a lot of small Texas towns hang their priorities. But
Alex, you forget that, like I have watched Friday Night Lights.
Oh,
so
yes, of course.
I know all about it. I felt that in my bones.
Jeff Bridges, let's just talk about it. It's weird seeing him young, and he's young.
But like I texted you, Alex, our one text exchange, he sounds like Jeff Bridges. I think that's the weird part.
That makes it even more uncomfortable because he sounds like, what's his name, Bad Blake or whatever in fucking Crazy Heart. He sounds exactly the same, but he's just like a kid.
It's
good looking though. I'm sure his entire life Jeff Bridges has had a hard time landing gals.
He's a stud. I mean, it makes sense. One of the few things that the movie gets right is that, of course, he would be the one that, at least at the beginning of the movie, is dating the pretty girl in town, right?
Yeah.
Sybil Shepherd was going to go for him before she goes for anybody else. But then, yeah, you're right. There is a disconnect, at least for us, right? The audiences in the 70s, I'm sure they don't know that this actor is going to grow up to be the dude and Crazy Heart and the bad guy in Iron Man 1, right? They just know that he's just a kid. And so maybe they think that his voice is kind of peculiar, but they don't think, oh, this dude sounds like Jeff Bridges. But to us, it really is like an adult man's voice coming out of this kid that kind of looks like he will grow up to be Jeff Bridges. It is weird because the other kids sound like kids. So it's kind of like the Grease effect, but only like centralizing one person. Did you buy everybody else as teenagers?
Dude, I was about to say, I will give this movie props that when they showed that high school class, if I was working at a bar, I would have ID'd 95% of those people. So it wasn't like Grease where, those high school students, even today watching Grease, they look older than you and me. Yep. Sonny looks like a 40-year-old truck driver. So they at least did some work here in, for the most part, they all do look like high school students, or at the very least college freshmen. They still look underage. And
they act like high school students.
They do. They're making out in the movie theater to begin with. I can't remember if we ever talked about this in here, Julio. Has that ever been a thing? I can't think of any movie I went to where I made out with someone during it. You know, the makeout session comes afterwards, and the majority of the reason why is because of what Timothy Bottoms here, Sonny, pulls off when he's making out and he tries to lower her head so he can watch the movie. That's kind of where my priorities usually lie.
Okay, look, you're forgetting what it's like to be a teenager. You, at least a teenage boy, you get it when you can.
This is true. I put that out of my mind because, yeah, I always harken back to when I had my GMC Jimmy in high school. It was afterwards. You stay in the parking lot to make out. But this is very true. If this is the opportunity, you got to take it, man.
Yeah, especially because she takes him back there. You know, she takes the gum out, and he's like, it's Father of the Bride. I mean, the original, not even the Steve Martin remake. So, you know, he can catch that one later. If your girlfriend wants to make out, you make out. But they're a pretty terrible couple, I think, as illustrated over the next 10 minutes or so. So I think maybe it's not so much the movie, the magic of movies, but more that this kid is not happy with his girlfriend, and he's acting like he has a lot of choices in that town.
Yeah, when she takes her bra off in the car and allows him to, like, you know, cop a feel, so to speak, he just kind of cups it and holds it like you would like pick up an orange or an apple and just kind of sits there. So he's obviously disinterested, and they break up right away. I did notice as they're leaving the movie theater, the picture house, they're putting up the poster for what's coming next. Did you catch what movie it was?
Iwo Jima, something about Iwo Jima, right?
Sands of Iwo Jima, starring John Wayne.
Okay. Not Letters from Iwo Jima, directed by Clint Eastwood.
No. That's going to be the Last Picture Show remake that comes out in a few years. That fucking Ari Aster directs.
Oh, God, no. The 5-hour epic in black and white. So this part must have appealed to you, though, Alex. I knew that even if the movie was really boring and the characters really unappealing, seeing this old-timey movie theater with like the really old seats and the old projection, and just like, yeah, they're putting the posters up one by one. There's no digital anything. There's not even popcorn. What the hell? The lady that runs the concession stand, she cleaned the popper early. By the time the Sonny gets there, there's no popcorn.
Hope you don't want no popcorn, because there ain't none. And you missed the newsreel, too. And the main show's done started, so I'll just charge you 30 cents.
I looked at it with frustration. I was like, God damn it! If I was there right now, if they gave that to me and Julio, can you imagine the things we could do with it? Even if it was in buttfuck Texas, like, we would have to tailor to our audience. You know, we'd have to show something like Friday Night Lights or, you know, The Patriot every week to get people to come out. But you know, Wednesday night for the theater kids in town, we could show fucking, I don't know, The
Last Picture Show.
The Last Picture Show. There you go. Could
be like, get it?
The kids coming out like, that is us. Well, yeah, and then we'll show like some Godard shit once a month on Fridays. It's a $1 ticket night, and you can, you know, BYOB.
I guess I bring it up because I did get excited. I also share a love for this type of nostalgic look at movie theaters. And the movie's called The Last Picture Show. So I really thought that we were going to focus on this movie theater. But other than this scene, and then at the very end, that's it.
I mean, this is a coming-of-age tale, so it would have been a lot cooler if the movie was like Empire Records style. These kids band together to save this movie theater.
Man. You did it. You fixed The Last Picture Show for me. It ends with a big concert, like Dwayne and Sybil Shepherd singing together, like sharing one microphone.
God bless.
Well, it would be like a country song, you know, Jeff Bridges setting the stage for his Oscar.
All my exes live in Texas. Yeah. Can qualify this as a Christmas movie because there is a Christmas dance in this. And at said Christmas dance, JC is invited by Lester Marlowe to a skinny dipping party at the home of Bobby Sheen, a wealthy young man who seems to be a better prospect than Dwayne. At the same dance, Sonny kisses Ruth Popper, the depressed middle-aged housewife of his high school coach. JC lies to Dwayne and ends up going to the skinny dipping party doing a striptease on top of the diving board. Bobby later makes an advance on her, but then says he will not have sex with girls who are still virgins. So I feel really bad for Dwayne because he's convinced that she thinks that Randy Quaid is better looking than he is.
Did you recognize Randy Quaid right away?
Immediately.
Okay, I thought, man, that kid looks like Randy Quaid. Poor guy.
He looks like Mr. Burns in the flashbacks to when Mr. Burns was young. Like he has, when Burns had hair and just like the shape of his face. He doesn't have like the long fucking beak like Monty does, but
does Mr. Burns get naked in any of those flashbacks?
There's the flashbacks to when he had his son, who turns out to be Rodney Dangerfield, Larry Burns, is that it? When he goes and they see Gone with the Wind, and it makes them so horny because they say "damn" in it. That's the premise of why Larry Burns was born.
Randy Quaid shows up, and he wants to hook up with Sybil Shepherd, so he invites her to this skinny dipping party, and she basically abandons Jeff Bridges right after he gives her a watch, right? He spent all his savings on a watch. And this is the one moment of truly great acting in the movie. When they're in the car, he gives her the watch. Then she breaks it to him that she's about to leave him to go to this party. And he starts protesting. So she shuts him up by putting her legs over his lap and then kind of like guiding his hand under her skirt. Mm-hmm. And then we get a shot. Bogdanovich goes for the close-up on Jeff Bridges' face. And that was acting. Like what he did there, I think he captured the essence of a teenage boy who got to, what would this be? Is it third base if you're just using your hand?
I have never understood the bases, to be honest with you.
That makes me feel so good, Alex, because I've always made assumptions, but I never wanted to. I never was brave enough to ask. Listeners, if you know how you break down the bases, and let us know. But it always changed. Like I always thought second base was like touching boobs, and then people would say no, second base is using tongue, and then I'm like, well, what the fuck then? Like, where are the goalposts here? So I don't know. First base is you get her number.
Yes, there you go.
And then home run is
a home run is you get married, so then you can have sex because marriage, sex before marriage is a sin. Yeah,
as explained in this movie. So yeah, at that moment, I think that Jeff Bridges really, he sold it. And then he went and does he get to punch? He doesn't punch Randy Quaid. He just kind of like roughs him up a little bit.
Yeah, they get into like a bit of a collar grabbing situation, and I'll punch you in the mush. See.
Yeah. This striptease that Sybil Shepherd does in front of, I guess, her whole classroom. Well, no, only the rich kids. Not particularly sexy, which I was like, when I'm watching the movie, I'm like, that's okay, right? Because these are supposed to be teenagers, even though everybody else is naked already. I'm like, good on you, Bogdanovich. You're kind of protecting her with like the way that you're framing things or whatever. Man, maybe an hour later in the movie, she's naked and walking around the hotel room, and we get to see everything. It's like, make up your mind. Are you going to exploit Sybil Shepherd's body, or are you going to be coy about it? You can't have it both ways.
He definitely exploited her body, maybe not on screen, but that he had an affair with her during this, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, damn it!
But I wonder if he shot the pool scene before they started having an affair, and then the second scene with Jeff Bridges and her having sex is after they were having an affair. He's like, I'm very comfortable showing my naked girlfriend.
He just to go ahead and cover the bases of that, he had an affair with her while this movie was filming, and his wife at the time, Polly Platt, was on set because she did costuming and the costume design for it. So,
man,
they separated, if you can believe it. And he was with Sybil Shepherd until, according to this number right here, 1978. So I just went and did the absolute worst thing you can do for Julio Oliveira. I explained my joke. So now you know why I made that joke.
I appreciate it in the context of this being a summer where we're going to really delve into Bogdanovich's work. And so the idea that he was kind of he was the kind of person that would cheat with the main actress in his movie while his wife was working on the movie. I okay, well then I can see that he didn't just come up with these characters out of thin air. You know, he picked that novel from Larry McMurtry and we're like, I can see myself in these people. Let me make a movie about this, about kindred spirits. All right, so Sybil Shepherd, kind of a bad person. Were you before she does this, before she abandons Dwayne?
Oh man, this is like small potato. I was like, fuck her by the end of this movie.
Yes, but before this, because this is the first time that she does, because before there's a scene where she's talking to her mom, who, by the way, is played by Ellen Burstyn.
Fine, Ellen Burstyn, man.
Guess you hate me tonight, huh?
Oh, Mama, you know I love you, but I love Dwayne, too, even if you don't like it.
I don't care. I just hate to see you marry him, that's all.
Sadly, the image of her in Requiem for a Dream getting shock therapy is so burned into my brain that when she pulled up in this, I was like, God damn.
Yeah, see, I was thinking of The Exorcist because it's the most recent thing I've seen with her.
Fair.
And
she's really pretty in that, but here, I mean, she's obviously, her character makes an attempt to be very pretty and very vivacious, and
she's hungry.
She is, and it works for me.
She is so unashamed of how lustful she is that she'll make out with the dude that she's cheating on in front of the whole town at a party. So she can get it and she knows it. But she doesn't like Jeff Bridges. She doesn't like Dwayne. And there's a scene earlier in the movie where she's telling Sybil Shepherd, don't marry him. She's a loser. He doesn't have any money. And Sybil Shepherd kind of like stands by him. So I thought, okay, that's cool. This movie's going to be about this girl, or at least one of the things that this movie's going to be about is this young girl resisting her mother's bad influence.
It's every movie, dude. You know, that if you tell her not to date him, it's just going to make him date him harder.
Okay, but that's not what happened. Instead, she briefly dated, I guess, Randy Quaid on her way to dating somebody else.
It's true.
So she just abandoned. She did what her mom wanted her to do. So that was a bummer. But before that, I was kind of on her team. They were singing in the car. She was feeding him French fries, I think. She seemed like...
Dude, those fries look fucking disgusting. I've been watching a lot of Bar Rescue recently, and that's the type of shit that John Taffer would lose his fucking mind over.
Are you telling me you wouldn't let Sybil Shepherd feed you those fries?
I would let Sybil Shepherd spoon feed me burning hot coals in this movie, but I'm just commenting, generally speaking.
So would most of that town, actually.
No shit. Regardless of age.
Now, speaking of age differences, Alex, on the other side of the equation, as you said, Sonny gets entangled with a woman that's at least twice his age, probably more. Right? This is the real May December.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I have questions about this. A lot of them. maybe you can illuminate me. We can combine forces and figure things out. Number one, what was with the visit to the hospital? Because that's how they meet. The coach tells Sonny, hey, can you drive my wife to the hospital or to the doctor? Because I don't want to. So can you please do it? So he does it, and that's how they meet. And she comes out of the doctor crying, and when he asks her, is it bad? She says, no, it's very ... And then we cut to a different scene.
She could be sick. She could have been, I don't know, an abortion or something. Okay,
that's what I thought. But I'm like, she's kind of a... I felt like they could have given us a little more context or something, because it's not like it happens again. I mean, we see her cry again, but it's over something completely different. So, all right. But at least our heads were in the same space there. Now, the second thing.
Well, first of all, her husband, the coach,
yes.
Bill Thurman plays Coach Popper.
Quite a catch.
Yeah. Did you, when you were in school in Peru, you had gym, right? Would you run laps?
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys
PE.
play in PE? Yeah. What did you guys do in PE?
Alex, it was a country in South America, so I will give you one guess as to what the main thing we did was PE.
Football?
Yep. I fucking hated it. We would play soccer, football, or we would run laps. Every now and then he would make us do push-ups, but for the most part, it was running laps and soccer.
Dodgeball?
And yeah.
Did you guys ever do dodgeball? No?
Nope.
That was dude, dodgeball was the fucking... That was like an event when we got to do that. But my main question comes from, was he fat? Did you have a fat PE teacher?
No, he wasn't super fit, But I mean, he was not like this dude.
He wasn't Coach Popper. My gym teachers that I can recall, it was an old guy. It was a youngish, like 40, good-looking guy who was in really good shape that ended up banging one of the cheerleaders. So,
so he belonged in this movie. That's what you're saying.
He belonged in this movie. But then, in like, what was it, 5th, 6th, or 7th and 8th grade, Mr. Coach German, I think was his name, just a fucking just tub of goo, man. That he would always, and I've always been a portly fellow, and I did my best, but I remember when he would give me shit for like pick up the pace. I'm like, motherfucker. He would sit there just like Coach Popper. He would sometimes stand up to give what he, I guess, thought were motivational speeches, and it was always just like, dude, looking like fucking Bill from King of the Hill wearing a toupee over here. So
his spit cup.
Yes. Just like, why don't you go over there and give me that ball?
My name is Coach Cautionary Tale. Pay attention. So, well, that was my next question. Is the coach making this happen? Like, did he set this up on purpose?
I don't know about that. I think he just didn't want to deal with whatever his wife was going through and knew that Sonny was like the local good kid.
But at the end of the movie, jumping all the way to the end, when the coach reappears, Sonny is there and he makes a comment saying something like, you should never cheat unless it's for a good cause, something like that. And it felt like he was talking to Sonny, and I was like, oh my God, does he know? Like, did he set it up because he knew that he wasn't making his wife happy? So he's like, I'm going to set up with this kid and she can have a fling. And, we're all happier for that. Because also, as the movie goes on, it becomes clear that everybody knows. So if everybody knows, how come the coach doesn't know?
Small towns, man. Of course, everyone's going to figure shit out.
They can tell. They can tell that Sonny walks with extra pep on his step.
The first time they do hang out, though, Sonny immediately became my favorite character when she offered him coffee or something. And he's like, I will take a Dr. Pepper. I'm like, my man. And
do you think Dr. Pepper regrets the sponsorship in this movie?
Well, I think the way that worked was a bit different back in those days, but it's the old school 10, 2, and 4 Dr. Pepper bottles, which is the old marketing campaign that's when you drink a Dr. Pepper's at 10, 2, and 4.
The old glass bottle.
Take it in, get 10 cents or some shit. Used to be better. Even before I was aware of it, it used to be better.
Sometimes you drink a Dr. Pepper, next thing you know, you're banging your coach's wife.
That's the commercial right there.
Played by Cloris Leachman, by the way. That was, we're talking about Jeff Bridges. You thought that was weird? Seeing a young Cloris Leachman was mind-blowing because I've always known Cloris Leachman as a senior citizen, And here she looked familiar, and it wasn't until it got to the end credits and we see everybody's pictures that I was like, oh my God, that's her. And she was young and she had a sexual appetite and she was having sex with a teenager.
She was beautiful. And like you said, we mainly know her now as, the grandma on a lot of things. Yep. And Beer Fest specifically for me comes to mind. She's kind of the, raunchy grandma, but, she was a legit actress and beautiful and took home an Academy Award because of this movie. And like I said, we'll get to that more. Yeah, we'll get to that more in the second half.
That's good because towards the end, in fact, the end, I mean, the movie closes with her Oscar clip, and I didn't know that she had won an Oscar. That's good.
She also uses the word dwaddle, which I'd never heard before, so I wrote that down as a word I'm going to try to use at some point this week.
Will you drive me to the clinic again next week?
Oh, you bet.
We better not fall here.
A group of boys, including Dwayne and Sonny, take their young, mentally disabled friend Billy to a prostitute to lose his virginity. The woman complains heavily, and when Billy leaves the car, his nose is bleeding. When the group takes Billy back home, local businessman Sam the Lion is angered by the group's treatment of Billy. They try to explain their actions, but Sam forbids the group from entering any of his businesses. The only entertainment in Anarene, the pool hall, the movie theater, and the cafe. Later, Sam notices that Sonny actually takes good care of Billy and accepts Sonny back into the cafeteria for a cheeseburger. So yeah, a fairly uncomfortable sequence in the film. This Billy character is beloved specifically by Sonny. And he's just a bit, differently abled than the rest of the community. So they kind of cast him aside. And it's really only Sam and Sonny that pay him any mind. And obviously alcohol influenced their decision here. But you can tell Sonny really feels bad about it. And the rest of them are just kind of like, whatever. But they talk about at first having sex with a cow.
Okay, I thought that maybe there was some sort of something was getting lost in translation. Like the fact that I'm not a native English speaker was coming to haunt me. They really are talking about a heifer cow, right?
I believe so.
Because at first I thought they were using just like really rude slang talking about women. But no, they say like my uncle owns a heifer.
Yeah. Kind of terrifying.
Texas.
I would like our listeners to know that we are not cow fuckers here in Texas, at least in the parts and the circles I run with.
Not in Austin, at least. But you're right. This is where the movie gets uncomfortable. If we were, it was kind of meandering, but nothing truly bad had happened. And then this gets really nasty to the one good, pure character, right? The character that hasn't harmed anybody gets thrust into this position where he gets made fun of and gets hurt. And then the other good character in the movie, Sam the Lion, rightfully berates these kids for being insensitive. And like he said, you didn't even have the decency to wash his face. I was like, you tell him. I'm sure that nothing bad is going to happen to you, Sam, for being the one good moral character in this movie. That made you realize, it's like by contrast makes you realize how shitty the rest of the town is.
Yeah. And it certainly comes back to prove that true later in the film.
So everybody gets banned from the 3 points of action in the town, except for Jeff Bridges, because he hides in the back seat. Yeah. So technically, he was not there.
All responsibility.
But then, I mean, it's like Sonny is exiled for like 5 minutes. A couple scenes later, Sam is like, okay, you can come back in. You can eat a cheeseburger. I felt like that took away some of the power of him being cast away.
During the weekend of New Year's Eve, Dwayne and Sonny go on a road trip to Mexico. Before they drive off, Sam wistfully wishes he still had the stamina to join them and gives them some extra money so they can enjoy themselves. The boys return 2 days later, hungover and tired, and learn that Sam has died suddenly of a stroke. Sam's will left the movie theater to the lady who ran the concession stand, the cafe to Genevieve, who's like the lunch lady Doris of the town, and $1,000 to the preacher's son, Joe Bob Blanton, and the pool hall to Sonny.
3 of those things were terrible mistakes. Do you think that Sam had read the script and knew that that was his last scene when he gave them money before they go to Mexico?
He definitely milks it, and I can appreciate that. What was the actor's name who played Sam? It was Ben Johnson, and so I can appreciate him knowing that he was rapping that day and wanting to stretch it a little bit further.
I mean, he got greedy, Alex, because he gets an Oscar clip before this scene when they go fishing, and he gets like the classic for your consideration moment for the Academy, because he starts telling a story and the camera starts pushing in slowly until we get to a close-up.
Oh, yeah. He takes Sonny to the watering hole there, and he tells a story about, it's the Gordon Street monologue from Wayne's World 2. I once knew a girl who came to this watering hole with me.
And then once he's done, then the camera pulls back. Thank you for your consideration. Speaking of that story, Alex, at the time, or rather, how long did it take you to figure out that he was talking about Ellen Burstyn?
At the end, when when he dies, Ellen Burstyn can't contain her emotion at the funeral and has to leave. So that kind of gave something away. And then at the end, it kind of comes full circle when she's like, yeah, that was me.
Yeah, I figured when she was crying at this funeral, the way that she was crying, because we'd never really see them interact. So I was
Vera
like,
Farmiga at Leo's funeral in The Departed.
Yes.
Matt Damon's like, how the hell you know him?
Her husband is either pretty oblivious or doesn't care about the fact that she seems to be cheating on him.
I think he's too drunk to really register. That's another thing. I mean, this movie doesn't shy away from the small town people before the true evils of alcohol came to light. I mean, there were still people beating their wives, dying in car wrecks, but hold on now. Skin disease? I don't know about this. I can't deal with this. So this was, everyone was an alcoholic, and this movie does not shy away from that at all.
It seems though like we missed a good chunk of actual exciting stuff that for some reason Bogdanovich decided to let it happen off screen. And not just Sam's death, which would have been a pretty awesome thing to see. I mean, sad but powerful, right? We just see this man keel over and die, and we've grown to like him because of that Oscar speech, and when he defended the kid and everything. But no, that happens off screen. But we also don't get to see the wild Mexican trip that Jeff Bridges and Sonny took.
Not even a montage or just like still images.
All we get is Jeff Bridges has a sombrero when they come back. Like, don't tease me like that. Yeah. It was funny because I thought of Swingers when they're like, Mexico, let's go to Mexico. It's like Vegas, baby. But nothing. We don't really get to see anything. I don't know why Sam would leave the pool hall to Sonny. Pretty much a child. I know that there's not a whole lot of good prospects in that town, but he could have just left the whole thing to Genevieve, like everything, the movie theater, all three businesses, to the plucky waitress / cook that takes care of the cafe, because she seemed to have enough good sense, and she could have used the money at some point. In the movie, she says that she owes about $4,000 in doctor's bills, and that's $4,000 in 1950. So that's a lot of money. Just leave her all because the old lady, the concession stand lady, ends up running the movie theater into the ground. The preacher's kid that he left $1,000 for turns out to be a pedophile. Mm-hmm. And Sonny doesn't have enough common sense not to fall for Sybil Shepherd, even after she's proven she's a terrible person.
It's like it's the first few episodes of The Bear when, this business gets left to fucking Carrie Von Erich and he doesn't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah. It's not like 20 minutes after Sam has died that Sonny almost loses his eye.
He could just as easily left that to me, because I deserve it at least as much as that ignorant little bastard.
So we're in the last, 30% of the movie, but man, we have a fucking shit ton of plot to catch up on here. So take a deep breath, Julio.
Do you think Bogdanovich, he didn't realize he was adapting the book as he was reading the book? And then he realized that he was like 90 pages into his screenplay, but he still had like 200 pages of book left.
It certainly feels that way. This is a very bottom-heavy movie. It's like a vibe movie for the first hour and 20 minutes. And then it's like, oh, God, no, stop.
Yeah. At some point, I think it's Ellen Burstyn that makes a comment that Sam the Lion, that the town was never the same after Sam the Lion died. And
the movie was never the same either.
Exactly.
JC finally invites Dwayne to a motel to have sex because she wants Bobby to accept her into his libertine circle. But Dwayne is unable to get an erection. Straight up forgetting Sarah Marshall, where Jason Segel's like, wait, I don't want this anymore. She gets angry at Dwayne, but they try again. She then breaks up with Dwayne by telephone. Soon after, JC learns that Bobby has already married another girl. Out of boredom and a sense of rejection, JC has sex with Abilene, a roughneck foreman who works for her father and is also her mother's lover. So a real twisted triangle going on here. After the act, Abilene leaves JC at home and is brutally cold towards her. After entering the house, JC is caught by her mother, Lois, and starts crying. They both complain about the brutality of men and mention how nice JC's father, Gene, is. So I guess this is how Ellen Burstyn realizes that she did okay.
That's a lot. That's like the movie working on overdrive to underline and highlight how much we're not supposed to like the Sybil Shepherd character. Because from here, she goes on to hook up with Sonny, but it's like there's so much baggage.
Oh, yeah.
She banged her mom's lover
on a pool table.
On a pool table.
What an uncomfortable place to lose your virginity.
Yeah, but I mean, points for style.
Oh, from a filmmaking perspective, yes. I'm just thinking practically.
Yeah. Who's worse, Sarah Marshall or Sybil Shepherd? As far as like scenes where there's such several people that the dude that they're with can't get a boner.
I don't know. Sarah Marshall's pretty awful.
She offers a blowjob though.
Yes, but it doesn't work. They're both like cruel individuals. I'll say Sarah Marshall's worse because she's pretty much like an adult in that. Yeah, I mean, in this case, Sybil Shepherd's still in high school, which adds some problematic wrinkles to some of the story here. But she's still old enough to know that she's able to manipulate men and create drama and get men to do what she wants them to do. Another Simpsons reference. She's Reverend Lovejoy's daughter. And to be fair, women are the superior gender, so they're right to know that they can manipulate men to do what they want. But it crosses a bit of a line here a little bit where she like calls the cops on herself to create a situation with Sonny.
You can use your powers for good or for bad, and I think Sybil Shepherd was not using them for good in this movie. Second moment of great acting in the Last Picture Show, though. Jeff Bridges' reaction to not being able to perform the deed. He just keeps repeating, "I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened." He's getting dressed and he keeps going, "I don't know what happened."
He does know what happened, though. It's just it's the truth.
I don't know. Something's happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Well, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
Oh! If you say that one more time, I'll bite you.
Still sad and angry because of the breakup, Dwayne leaves town and starts working as a roughneck on an oil well in Odessa.
Odessa!
A town in Texas just far enough away to not conveniently return home on a whim. Yeah, Odessa's out in the fucking middle of nowhere. Odessa's close to nothing.
So close to this town.
I had a great weekend one time in Odessa back in 2008, and I've never felt the need to return since. Except for when I watched Ricochet, and I was like, man, I haven't thought about Odessa this much in a long time. JC then sets her sights on Sonny, who drops Ruth without a word and starts dreaming of marrying his true love. Dwayne returns home on leave, driving a brand new Mercury, but quarrels and has a scuffle with Sonny over JC, smashing a beer bottle into Sonny's left eyebrow as the friends fall fighting into the street. The fracas is broken up by the locals and Sonny is hospitalized. During Sonny's recovery, Ruth visits him, but he pretends to be asleep. JC suggests to Sonny that they should run away to get married in Oklahoma. Here we go. While they are driving to their honeymoon in Lake Texoma, JC reveals that she left a note to her parents explaining the entire plan. They are, because she's a fucking sociopath. They are soon stopped by an Oklahoma State trooper who takes them to the nearest police station where the Pharaohs await. Jean dismisses Sonny completely, taking JC home in the car. Sonny rides back with Lois, and after arriving home, Lois reveals that Sam the Lion was her one true love when she was young, confirming a story that Sam had told the boys while on a previous fishing trip. Lois tells Sonny that he would be much better off with Ruth than with JC. The marriage is annulled and a short time passes. First thing I want to call out here, this woman is psychotic. This man, this poor boy lost an eye for her. And then she makes fun of him for the eye patch that he has to wear. But moreover, the Oklahoma State trooper, what an awful cop. That's my note here, because they get pulled over. And he's like, don't we have a right to get married? We have a right to be here. We're not doing anything wrong. And he goes, well, I don't know about your rights, son. And I'm like, that's the first thing you're supposed to know as a cop. It's Oklahoma, though, so it makes sense.
Yeah, he took the de-escalation part of de-escalating a little too far. But level with me, Alex. Yes, Sybil Shepherd is awful here. She's a psychopath. But if you were Sonny, when it's all said and done, would you go, worth it?
Absolutely. I relate to the situation. That's why I know what he's going through and I know what she's doing, because from high school till this point in my life, I have come across several women like that, sirens on the water, that have are very good at what they do. And I'm fortunate enough that I haven't lost an eye yet, but you know, can't count my chickens as of this point. So yeah, I get it. And also, yeah, Sybil Shepherd, just a beautiful young woman. Just ask Peter Bogdanovich. And so I get it from his perspective. And I guess that's also the point of like being one. I know how dumb guys are and I know how smart women can be. So I'm like, yeah, she's the villain here. Get more beer. Yay, go men.
The problem is that the movie doesn't really end. That's the problem with coming of age movies, like most of them. Like a good coming of age movie actually has the characters come of age and come out with a better understanding of the world and how things work and how I can fit better, or, you know. But then there's the bad coming of age movies, which are like catnip for film students, where they're just like, I'm going to grab a bunch of elements from my life and my favorite things thing. I'm just gonna throw them all together, and it's the bad hang movie. It's the bad coming of age movie where it just meanders, and because you're just recreating things that you like, things from your past, you kind of lose track of what your messaging is, what you're saying, right? And so if you're gonna have characters that are as nasty and psychotic as like Sybil Shepherd in this movie, or what's his name? Annabelle, the dude that was
Abilene.
And Abilene, you know, they have to be in service of some sort of ultimate truth, right? But that doesn't happen. I mean, after this scene, the Sybil Shepherd character disappears from the movie. You don't see her again. It's like, what did she learn? What was he there to teach us? It doesn't really amount to anything. Poor Jeff Bridges, in the second half of the movie, they keep sending him away and then bring him back for a couple scenes, and they send him away again.
He does have that depressingly alcoholic line of dialogue where he offers Sonny a beer, and it's, you know, early morning, goes, "It's about all I eat for breakfast anymore." And then, you know, very manly, like slams the bottle down so it opens.
With a big smile.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I just think that for all the things that are happening and happening so fast, you know, I don't think that they amount to a whole lot. I mean, we're about to get to the end of how, like, the last things we see these characters.
We're about to get to why it has the name that it does.
Yes, and that's not even the end of the movie.
You would think it was.
Right?
Empire Records, the sign turns on, and that's the end of the movie.
Jeff Bridges was like, "Thank you, Dolores," or whatever the name of the lady is, "for this last picture show." Roll credits.
On Dwayne's last night of leave, Sonny goes to Dwayne's house for a last chance at reconciliation. The two friends make amends, and Sonny reveals that JC went to college in Dallas and never returned to Anarene. They go to the movies because the theater is going to close due to lack of customers. Yeah, they say, like, "You want to go to the picture show? It's the last night." And yeah, that's when Jeff Bridges should go, like, "You mean it's the last picture show?" and then fucking Tim Bottoms looks at him and goes, "The last picture show." And then Rory Cochrane looks into the camera and goes, "Perfect." They go to the movies. Yeah, lack of customers. The new owner blames television. So the owner here is me, basically, modern day. Goddamn streaming took all my physical media away.
It's her fault for not keeping the popper open until the end of the show.
Dude, no shit.
That's how you make your money, man.
I could see that popcorn was it was in there. I wanted it. And everyone's smoking in the movie theater too, because the light, you know, from the projector catching all that smoke is, I don't know about that. I'm all for like food and booze in a movie theater, but smoking, you kind of lost me. She blames television and her own lack of business acumen. The last picture shown is the John Wayne Western Red River, which is set in Texas, of course.
I was wondering if I was missing some sort of symbolism or something that the picture that they're showing, the movie, was supposed to add some extra meaning to this experience, or if it was just something that Bogdanovich had made up. Because there's a bunch of people screaming, basically. They're yowling, yee-hawing, whatever you want to call it. And then the movie ends. And I was like, all right, I guess that means something, but I could have used a little hand-holding here. So, Alex, it's called The Last Picture Show. We just had a scene that centers around The Last Picture Show. Surely it's time for the movie to wrap up.
Well, hold your horses there. The next morning, Sonny sees Dwayne off to his bus. Dwayne gives Sonny the keys to his Mercury and asks Sonny to take care of the car for him after Sonny reveals that he and JC never made it to the motel. Sonny opens the pool hall where he hears, by the way, just the terrifying nature of this and how realistic it was that this kid was just going, Jeff Bridges, that is, was going off to Korea to fight in the war. And he just gets on the bus. He's like, "Well, see you later." And that's kind of how it was then, you know.
He's like, I'll be back for my car if I don't get shot.
It took the atrocities of war being more widely seen on television and newspapers and stuff for people to not just be like, "Yeah, I believe whatever our country tells us, go for it." And, you know, just waving goodbye to your son. "All right, see ya." Sonny opens the pool hall when he hears a truck breaking in the street nearby. The truck has killed Billy. Sonny sees Billy's broom in the middle of the street and has some people stopping their cars. He approaches a local townsman surrounding Billy's corpse. They blame the dead boy for being stupid and careless. Sonny berates them for their behavior and carefully carries Billy's body to the top of a staircase, covering Billy's face with his Letterman jacket. They're like, what was he doing in the street? He's like, he was sweeping, you sons of bitches.
It's his moment. Everybody has gotten one except for this poor kid.
And now these townspeople are just downright evil because he says, that he takes him off the street and he's crying because his friend is dead. And one of them goes, weird kids you got here.
Welcome to Texas.
Angry and depressed with his current life, Sonny hops on his old battered truck and drives to the city limits. He slowly changes his mind and drives back, parking his truck near Ruth's home and asking her if he can have a cup of coffee. She looks depressed and has shut herself away in her house. After Ruth explodes in hurt and anger, breaking the coffee cup, she notices that Sonny is completely devastated. She demands that he look at her. He does and gently touches her hand. Still spent, she seems to forget her anger, takes pity on the boy, and starts to comfort him. And now we roll the credits.
The thing that doesn't make sense, Alex, is that I'm glad that you seem to have the chronology exactly the way that I had it watching this movie. The kid dies. Sonny gets in the car, starts driving away, does a U-turn, goes to Ruth's house. And then in the middle of Ruth motherfucking him, she says, oh yeah, now because your friend is dead, you're coming back for comfort. And I was like, how does she know? This just happened like 15 minutes ago. I know it's a small town, but she's made it a point to be like shuttered. And it's not like she was on Twitter or Facebook and, she saw the post about poor Billy getting run over by a truck. So how does she know that Billy died?
It's a small town, man. World travels fast. They got the tin cans with the string going, from one house to another.
Somebody just goes door to door. Do you hear? Billy died.
Maybe the coach just came home to get like 5 sandwiches out of the fridge and was like, before I go back to work, hey, that one kid died.
That is an excellent explanation. I like it. It's in world, builds on the mythology, shows a coach as the uncaring husband that he's proven to be. Yeah, I like it. It also explains why she's so like angry. She unleashes on Sonny, which was a kind of like a fuck yeah moment. They're like, finally, somebody's telling one of these kids what's what. And then she forgives him. This is even like faster than when Sam forgave him and let him go back into the restaurant. She just looks at him and is like, okay, I'll hold your hand.
And then we get the Too Many Cooks credits.
Yes. But don't you think that this movie, it would have been better for Sonny as a person to grow, to just not be babied by Ruth if Cloris Leachman had told him, look, get back in your car and get out of here?
Yeah, he blew his chance. That's real life, man.
You only get one chance, one try with Cloris Leachman.
With Cloris Leachman.
She has no patience for this dilly-dally. She was all in, man. She was going to wallpaper the room blue because he likes the color blue.
The message of this movie is if you have a good enough puppy dog face, she'll forgive you.
You can get with Cloris Leachman. You might not get with Sybil Shepherd. That's a little out of your league.
Aim high. Shoot for the stars and see where you land.
All right. So that was the first Bogdanov film on the Contrarians, at least on the main feed. I say, let's go to real talk, Alex, so we can just see if we liked it or not.
Let's take a trip to Mexico.
Mexico, baby.